everybody, to another Your Game review. We'll be using the Kega Fusion 3.6 to emulate the Sega CD ROM known as Double Switch. This game came out in 1993, and it's sort of the sequel to Night Trap. The game was actually another Digital Pictures, as you can see, production that kind of took as a spin-off of what Night Trap was. And it was a lot more colorful and lively, but still had a very dark overtone to it, though. So with these games, the stories that they wrote about them, they really were trying to have an atmosphere that was kind of serious, a lot of chaos going on, and that's one thing that this game is definitely good for, is the chaos. Unlike Night Trap, where you could time everything out and you knew, when the bad guys were going to be in a certain place at a certain time, you can't do that in this one. In this one, you have to basically see them when it happens and try to capture them. But the one thing is if you do play it enough, like I had, there's a sequence of when they will show up. So you'll be able to catch them in an order and kind of be able to trap them all at once if you're fast enough. And trust me, it's not easy at all. I've done save states several times to try to capture as many people as possible, and it gets very, very difficult. Now, one thing I used to always do in the beginning of every game I ever played was I'd always go to the options. I guess I just like control over things, so that's kind of what we'd do here. We'd go in here, change the buttons around. Now, I've left everything the way it is because I've really learned to appreciate the way the setup is. Just to go over a quick review of this, as you can see, C button would change to your house and traps. A is to change rooms, and A is to arm the trap. So you would switch to the room with A, and then change to the trap with the C button, and then arm the trap real quick with A, and then switch back to the room again, and switch to a different room. So that's kind of what this game is. It's very fast-paced as compared to the Night Trap. Night Trap's a little bit slower, but also Night Trap is a lot more chaotic because you're switching around, in a sense, you're switching around trying to find the bad guys, as opposed to in this, where you actually know where they're at. Now, this game, of course, they picked a main lead actor to star in it, and the lead actor for this one is Corey Haim. And very unfortunate, like Dana Plato, Corey Haim succumbed to an early death at a young age, and I don't know what the coincidence is for these digital picture trapping games where the actors are dead now, and of course, though, this is one of his better performances, if you ask me. This is what I used to love about these games, was that it was like they were talking to you, and it was like you were the one that was the only one that can help them, and it just didn't feel that way transitioning from Nintendo and Sega Genesis into the Sega CD. It felt totally different to have somebody actually talking to you and telling you, hey, you got to get me out of here, you got to do this, you got to do that. I kind of felt like it was of more importance. So he tells you what you have to do in the first part of the game, and this is the basically like what you would call the training part of the game, because there's very few times that you can actually lose the game from the beginning, and if you do, you restart back over. There's actually 3 segments in the game, and by the time the third segment comes, third segment happens to be the shortest, but it is also the hardest. Lee Irvy also starring in the game too. So Digital Pictures spared no expense when it came to actors and trying to get them involved. So just like their first game in Night Trap, you're now taking control of the game, and you have the option to just sit here and watch nothing but Corey Haim. And of course, he starts getting flustered. And if you just sit there and don't do anything,
what's going on? Are you just sitting there? I'm talking to the wrong guy. You're out of here.
It kind of makes you think, like, if you're just like mesmerized by what's happening, wow, I lost. It's really kind of sad, though. Most games don't even do that at all. Like, they don't sit there and force you to take action in the first 5 minutes of the game, and if you don't take action, you lose, and you feel like kind of defeated. You're already watching the credit screen. But that was what the digital pictures was definitely trying to aim at, with you actually being interacting. And I think a lot of games and a lot of productions, just in general, they do great jobs at the beginning when trying to get the user involved, and then as the story goes on, it kind of falls into the same category of everything else, where it's just over and over again. No, but then again, it's also the originality of the experience when you first start it versus after playing it 2 hours, 3 hours into it, and you realize, oh, okay. And that was another cool thing too, was they threw in cutscenes that were based off of what happened, just for the intros though. So no matter what you do throughout the game, it either can go one way or the other. So let's actually switch and show you what goes on in different rooms. Like this is one, for example, where you have to arm that trap. If I didn't get to the trap in time to arm it, so of course he gets away. Cutscene ends. This is an example of they go in order. So this one is the mummy. I'll actually get this one off. But then I have to switch over here real quick, since I didn't. Alex is freaking out because there's a guy in her room, and why wouldn't any girl freak out if there was a strange guy in her room? And then Corey Haim bitches at you. Oh, at least they gave me a second chance, unlike when I didn't touch the controller, I didn't have a second chance. Now the funny thing is how they just so unexpectedly step on these traps, and boom. And then, about 5 minutes later, you'll see the same guy again, like nothing ever happened to him. Though, a little bit of the word I was looking for was continuity. It took me a couple of days to find it, but I found it. So now, let's get back on with the review. The problem with the continuity in the game is that when strapping somebody, they usually don't realize it, so they'll step on the same trap again. And you probably end up seeing the same scene over and over again, though. But there are some very differences, though, to who you trap and how you trap them. For example, just trapping this person right here is supposed to happen. They want you to trap them, or if you let them get away, the scene will last longer. But in this situation right here, if I don't trap him, my game will end, because that is the power box which shuts off power to Eddie, which shuts off power to me. But this situation right here, if I let her go, the scene goes on normally, nothing goes wrong. But what fun is that? Why not cause chaos for everybody else?
Eddie, man, come on!
He took Marla!
We were right in the middle of practicing our Egyptian song.
Aww.
Do you know how hard it is to find backup singers who can dance like that?
Like I care.
Now look what happened!
Now look what happened! And of course, Eddie's going to bitch at me.
Look, these guys are just rehearsing. You shouldn't have nailed her. Come on, get with it. This isn't a game, people.
I love it when they say that. This isn't a game, people. Which in turn has caused me to miss a code, which makes him...
Hey, wake up. You gotta get the code numbers to get me out of here.
So you see, I'm constantly getting bitched at for one move after another. So, the idea is to play the game normally, don't react to situations, and don't trap anybody that you shouldn't trap. But, like I said before, what fun would that be? If I couldn't just, they step on it, it's obvious they don't know it's there. So that's just some of the ways that the game can change.
What are you trapping Brutus for? How many times do I have to tell you, we don't trap Emmets. We need the money.
What's this we stuff? First of all, you're trapped in a basement, so apparently you're not collecting any money at all. But see, if I trap Lyle... Which is funny seeing Lee Emery. I mean, that's the guy from Full Metal Jacket. I just put him in a basement.
Good job. That should slow him down. Very nicely done.
And then I get congratulated for it. So there are some differences in what you do in the game, and the continuity does change based on, certain ways of how you trap somebody versus not trapping somebody. Like I said, it's more fun to cause chaos sometimes. Unfortunately, the game will end, which will cause you to have to start over from the beginning, and that was the biggest problem with these live-action games. Let's take Night Trap in my last review. Night Trap is only 37 minutes long. So, It's 37 minutes to play the game all the way through, which I don't think anybody the first time they ever played it was able to get through it in one run. But that means you're going to start over, watch the same videos again, and watch the same, action scenes, trap scenes, whatever. And to me, that's the problem with these games that everybody ran into, was the replay value was terrible. If you're going to replay a game, you want a different experience every time. And there really isn't a different experience when everything is recorded and there's only so much footage that you can record and put on one disc. And that's what these guys ran into with having these live action games. This is one of the codes that Eddie was talking about that he wants me to get, but since I don't give a crap about this game, I'm pretty much just going to leave it at this. I will say Double Switch, just to pause it, because I don't know why I have issues trying to talk and watching that at the same time. Double Switch was a much better game than Night Trap in a sense of more action, more going on for the player. So you're jumping around from room to room, and you're trying to keep up with the pace of the game. It also had a lot more situations where if in Night Trap there's a certain part that you get to where if you don't save the girls, the game's over, though. And if you miss the trap code, sometimes you could end up missing too many people and the game would be over too. But in this game, there are many, many instances that you'll run into, like the power box, and as the game progresses, there will be other parts where you'll get into that if you're not able to trap the person in time, excuse me, the game will end and you will have to start over from the beginning unless you get to the second segment, which allows you to save, and then the third segment, which allows you to save at those different parts. There is a double switch in the game, so the meaning of the game does come into play eventually, though, which you will find out later on. And it was kind of funny, though, to see it turn around the way it did, though. So I hope if you guys do get a chance to check this one out, you're able to get all the way to the end and see some of the crazy stuff that goes on and really see how difficult the game does get in the latter parts of the game. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'd like to say that this game is definitely better than Night Trap. Night Trap has more of a nostalgic feeling because of all the stuff that went on about it, though. But if you want to play a successor to the game, Double Switch will be where it's at. This is your game review, and hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again in the next one.